If you don't have a force multiplier and your opponent or attacker does, you better know those 5Ds plus 1 and know them well. Today's video is brought to us in part by the generosity of LuckyGunner.com. For the best selection of name brand defensive ammunition and lightning fast shipping on bulk target ammo, head to LuckyGunner.com and thank them for being a sponsor of Active Self-Protection. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of India. Here we are going to see an armed robbery that takes a long time to develop and then gets a little bit crazy. And we're going to learn some significant lessons about the initiative deficit that you're under as a self-defender, about practicing the 5Ds plus 1 and knowing them well from training so that you're ready to use them, and about using partner tactics to keep yourself safe. If you go watch the originals, these guys sit here for a good long time just looking at the wares, but then the guy in the yellow shirt's going to stand up and pull a gun out of his waistband, and his buddy in the blue shirt is going to do the same, not standing up. So now look at the guys behind the counter. They are playing it super cool, and then they kind of come up and they start harassing them and hand fighting them for their pistols, which is really surprising to me as an American. I mean, I think most thieves in America that are willing to brandish a gun are not going to allow this kind of hand fighting over their gun, but these guys do. It's probably a thing that they're kind of used to, that they don't really want to use it. They're just kind of brandishing it to show force, but these guys aren't having it, and you can see he's got a hold of that gun there, and now they're going to start the fight, and the guy in the white's just simply not having it, and they're going to push them all out the door. We have a second angle here from the door, and as they push those guys out, the guy in the blue shirt, it looks gray and this one bugs out, but the guy in the yellow shirt, they're going to get a hold of this guy, and a bystander shows up, and now they're going to take his gun away from him here, and once they get that away from him, it's going to take some significant doing. He's going to try to get away from him, but they're kind of not having it. He's going to get whacked on a couple times by these guys, beat up by the crowd a little bit, and then he's going to finally get away from them and run off, and this one ends right there with them losing one gun and our intended robbery victims not being the victims at all. Let's think about some significant lessons out of this one. First of all, we want to talk about the fact that as defenders, we are always working from an initiative deficit. The bad guy always gets to set this timing of the attack, and that's exactly what happens here. They get to set the time when they're like, oh, okay, now's the time I'm going to go ahead and attack. So you're always operating from that position when you are the victim, and when you are the intended victim, you got to decide what's my best response here. These guys could have complied. You know, again, no harm in complying in an armed robbery if you feel like that's the best answer that will protect you and your loved ones. But these guys decide instead that they're going to go ahead and start resisting. Now you notice here that our guy in the yellow is using that leveraging arm. He's taking that non-dominant hand, the hand that's not on the gun, and using it to keep distance from the guy in white and keep him off him. That leveraging arm is used in the background there by the guy in the blue shirt as well. And that's very common. If you're going to defend against somebody who is a knife or a gun wielding attacker, if they have a tool and you don't, you have got to know how to defeat the leveraging arm. Now, again, these guys are lucky that these guys don't want to use these firearms. They just want to brandish them. If they had wanted to use them, these guys were in big trouble for this level of kind of pawing at things. I don't recommend that. But you do notice here that our guy in the white has gotten a hold of the barrel of the gun. Now that's not the best thing, because the guy that's in the yellow shirt has the gun by the handle, which is far easier to hold on to. But at least he has it dominated and deflected away from him. Now we got to start those 5Ds plus 1. Deflect, you know, once we control the distance, which they did there, that's the plus 1. Deflect, dominate. Now you got to distract. Now you notice the one guy runs off, that's fine. But this other guy here that they are going to get after, you can see he's got a hold of it, he's got it deflected, he's got it dominated, but then they're not going to distract him. They're not going to keep him from thinking about that gun in his hand, and because of that, they're going to have a heck of a hard time taking it away from him. Notice there's a bunch of people here that are with him, but he's thinking about, I'm going to keep control of this tool, and the way that you distract people from that is usually that you cause them pain or you break things, not just hold on to them, but you get him thinking about other things. His eye that you poked, his groin that you just punched him in, his knee that you just broke, break things on him, and that will generally get away. Otherwise, you just got to have stronger limbs than he does and more strength, and they did have that. Now, of course, we want to talk about partner tactics as well, because you want to know what the heck you're going to do with each other. And once you've taken that gun away from him, what are you going to do with him? This guy here has got that gun and he's waving it around all over the place. So you got to know, what am I going to do if I do take a firearm away from somebody? Am I going to use it against them? Am I going to throw it? Am I going to stick it in my waistband? Am I going to get rid of it, or what? Some things to think about in advance here. So all is well that ends well in this instance. These guys definitely covered their ass. A few things to think about as we think about defending ourselves as well. So lots to learn from this one.